Commander Ethan Ward stood tall by the window of the Earth Defense Fleet headquarters, his eyes fixed on the alien ship floating above the city. The massive vessel shimmered with an odd blue light, making it look almost like a mirage against the clear morning sky. 6 months had passed since the ships of the Galactic Council had arrived on Earth. 6 months of talks, treaties, and now this, a weapons inspection that was quickly turning into a show of mockery. "They're ready for you, sir," said Lieutenant Frank Harris, his young face tight with worry. Ward nodded once, straightening his dark blue uniform before following Harris down the long hallway. The sound of their boots echoed against the steel walls. Neither man spoke. What was there to say? The aliens had technology far beyond Earth's current abilities, or so they thought. The inspection room was bright and cold. 12 alien representatives stood in a half-circle around a table displaying Earth's most advanced weapons. Each alien looked different from the next, some tall with blue or green skin, others short with extra limbs or eyes. They represented the 12 oldest and most powerful species in the known galaxy. Susan Miller, Earth's chief diplomat, greeted Ward with a small nod. Her face showed the strain of 6 months of difficult talks. "Commander Ward," she said, "the Council representatives would like to see our railgun technology." A tall, blue-skinned alien stepped forward. Ward recognized him as Zeltara, the Arcturian diplomat who seemed to enjoy looking down on humans the most. "Yes," Zeltara said, his voice like soft bells. "We are most curious about your projectile weapons." Ward walked to a metal case and opened it. Inside was the pride of Earth's defense technology, an advanced railgun small enough to be carried by a single soldier but powerful enough to punch through 6 inches of steel. He lifted it carefully, offering it to Zeltara. The alien took it with 2 long fingers, as if touching something dirty. "These projectile weapons are quaint," Zeltara said, his mouth stretching into what might have been a smile. Most species abandoned such primitive technology during their early space age. The other aliens made soft sounds that Ward guessed were laughs. He kept his face blank, but inside anger burned hot. "Our weapons serve our needs," Ward said simply. "Of course they do," Zeltara said, putting the railgun down like it was a child's toy. "And when you join the Council, we will help you improve beyond such basic methods." Susan Miller stepped forward. "The railgun has proven effective in Earth's defense." "Against other humans, yes," said another alien, this one with green scales and eyes like black pools. "But against proper energy shields? Against antimatter cannons? These would be useless." Ward watched as the aliens moved on to inspect other weapons. With each item, their amusement grew more obvious. One alien even made a show of pretending to be scared of a missile launcher before the others laughed. Susan tried her best to maintain Earth's dignity, but Ward could see the red climbing her neck. These talks were not going well. The Galactic Council had arrived offering membership in their alliance of worlds, but every meeting had shown the same pattern. They saw humans as barely more than clever animals. Ward's small radio device buzzed. In his pocket, he stepped back and turned away to answer it. "Ward here," he said quietly. "Commander, this is Admiral Peterson." The voice was clear but low. "We have a situation. The alien scout ship we've been tracking near Jupiter has changed course. It's been scanning the Antarctica facility for the past hour." Ward's heart beat faster. The Antarctica facility was home to Earth's most secret weapons project. If the aliens knew about it— "Understood," Ward said. "Keep me updated." He put the radio away and turned back to the inspection. The aliens were now testing the strength of Earth's best armor by cutting through it with a small energy beam that looked like a penlight. "As you can see," Zeltara was saying to Susan, "your best protection offers little against even our smallest tools." Susan's smile was thin. "We're still learning." "Yes, you are very young as a species," Zeltara agreed, but his tone made it sound like an insult. "The Council has guided many young races. Some take centuries to reach proper space travel skills." An older alien with gray skin and 4 arms stepped forward. "Tell us, when did your people first achieve nuclear fission?" "Less than 100 years ago," Susan answered. The 4-armed alien made a clicking sound. "So recent," And fusion? We have working fusion reactors now, Ward cut in, and we're learning more every day. Yes, yes, Zelterra said, waving a long blue hand. All species follow the same path. Combustion, fission, fusion, matter, antimatter. You are simply behind others. The inspection continued for another hour. Ward stood by, watching as Earth's best technology was treated like ancient history by the aliens. Not once did he mention Project Sunburst. Not once did he give away that humanity had taken a different path in some of its research. Finally, the aliens prepared to leave. Zelterra approached Susan and Ward one last time. "We will present our findings to the full council," he said. "But, I must be honest, your species needs much guidance. Perhaps a century or two as a protected world would be best before full membership." Susan's diplomatic smile never wavered. "We look forward to the council's decision." After the aliens left, Susan turned to Ward, her smile dropping like a rock. "That went terribly," she said. Ward watched the alien ship rise into the sky through the window. "They think they know everything about us based on what we showed them." "And what we didn't show them?" Susan asked quietly. Ward's phone buzzed again. He looked down at the message from Admiral Peterson. "Confirmed, alien scout has scanned Antarctica facility. They know something." Ward showed the message to Susan. Her face paled. "Do you think they know about Sunburst?" she asked. Ward looked up at the alien ship, now just a dot in the sky. "I don't know, but I think we're about to find out just how friendly the Galactic Council really is." Susan followed his gaze upward. "They treated everything we have like jokes. What happens when they realize we're not following their expected path of development?" "That's what worries me," Ward said. "People don't mock things they truly fear. But when someone who's been laughing suddenly feels threatened..." He let the thought hang in the air. In the silence that followed, both humans stared at the sky, wondering if the visitors from the stars had come as friends, or something else entirely. 500 feet below the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Olivia Nash walked through a long tunnel carved into solid rock. The walls glowed with soft white light, making the place feel less like a secret military base and more like a hospital. She nodded to two guards as she reached a large metal door with the words, "Project Sunburst," printed in black. Dr. Nash pressed her hand against a scanner and looked into a small camera. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, 20 scientists and engineers worked at computers and strange machines. In the center of the room stood a glass case holding what looked like a normal bullet, except for the faint purple glow coming from inside it. "Dr. Nash," called a deep voice. Lieutenant Kevin Wright walked over to her. His military uniform looked out of place among the lab coats. "How are the final tests going?" "See for yourself," Dr. Nash said with a small smile. She led him to a screen showing test results. "The phase shift is stable now. We can make the bullet disappear from normal space for exactly 3.2 seconds before it returns." Lieutenant Wright stared at the screen. Unlike the alien visitors, he didn't understand everything he saw, but he knew enough. "So it works? It really works?" "Yes," Dr. Nash said. "When we fire this bullet, it shifts into another dimension. It passes through any shield or wall like they're not even there. Then it shifts back into our world inside the target." "And the aliens have nothing like this?" Wright asked. Dr. Nash shook her head. "The Council thinks all species follow the same path of discovery. First comes fire, then the wheel, then metalworking, and so on. They can't imagine that humans might skip steps or take a different road altogether." They walked to the glass case. Inside, the bullet continued to glow. "The Council thinks we're centuries behind them," Dr. Nash explained. "They evaluate technology on a linear path of development. They can't conceive that we might have taken a completely different approach." Wright nodded slowly. "How many of these do we have?" "Enough to arm 3 ships," Dr. Nash said. "We've been working day and night since the aliens arrived. Something about them never felt right." A scientist called Dr. Nash over to check some data. While she was busy, Wright's phone buzzed. He stepped away to answer it. "Lieutenant Wright," he said. "This is Commander Ward. We have trouble. I need to speak with Dr. Nash right away. 5 minutes later, Dr. Nash and Lieutenant Wright sat in a small office watching Commander Ward on a video screen. Ward looked tired, his face tight with worry. The aliens know something, Ward said. One of their ships scanned the Antarctica base. We think they've discovered we have secret weapons programs they weren't told about. But they don't know what sunburst is, Dr. Nash said. It wasn't a question. No, Ward agreed. If they knew what it could do, they'd be more worried. There's something else you need to know, said another voice. The camera moved to show Alan Cooper, Earth's intelligence chief. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. We've been digging into the histories of these alien species. 3 of the 12 council races have histories of taking over primitive worlds. Dr. Nash felt her heart beat faster. Taking over, you mean like colonizing? Cooper nodded. They find worlds with less advanced technology, mock them into thinking they need guidance, then slowly take control. They take resources, use the people as cheap labor, all while claiming to help the primitive species grow. A cold silence filled the room. Lieutenant Wright was the first to speak. So this whole thing, the membership offer, the inspections, it might all be a trick? We think so, Ward said. And we think they're getting ready to move soon. That's why we need Sunburst. Ready now, Dr. Nash took a deep breath. We need more testing. It works in the lab, but we haven't tried it against actual alien technology. We can't wait, Cooper said. If I'm right, the council is already planning its next move. Ward looked straight at Dr. Nash. We need to test it against something alien, something real. Like what? Nash asked. They left an unmanned probe in orbit, Ward said. Small, not very important. If we destroy it, they'll notice but might think it was an accident. Nash and Wright looked at each other. This was happening faster than either had expected. I'll need 6 hours to prepare, Nash finally said. You have 3, Ward replied. I'll send a ship to pick up one of the Sunburst prototypes. After the call ended, Nash and Wright returned to the main lab. The scientists sensed something had changed and watched as Nash began giving new orders. We're moving up the timeline, she announced. I need the Mark III prototype ready to ship in 3 hours. Everyone moved faster. No one asked why. They had all felt the same worry since the aliens arrived, that something wasn't right about the Galactic Council's friendly offers. 3 hours later, a small metal case left the mountain facility on a fast military jet. Inside was humanity's best hope. Later that night, Commander Ward stood on the bridge of a small Earth ship. The vessel was officially on a routine patrol, but its real mission was top secret. In the weapons bay, a single sunburst bullet waited in its special launcher. Susan Miller stood beside Ward, looking nervous but determined. As Earth's chief diplomat, she had finally agreed to the test after seeing Cooper's evidence. If we're wrong about the council, she said quietly, this could ruin everything. And if we're right, Ward replied, this might be our only chance. The alien probe appeared on their screens, a small egg-shaped device that sent data back to the council's main ship. It looked harmless. Target locked, said the weapons officer. Ward took a deep breath. Fire! The ship barely moved as it fired the sunburst bullet. On the screen, they watched as the small projectile flew toward the probe. Just before hitting it, the bullet seemed to flicker and disappear. For a second, nothing happened. Then the alien probe suddenly broke apart, pieces floating away in all directions. Direct hit, the weapons officer said, sounding surprised even though this was what they had hoped for. The bullet phased inside and then rematerialized. The probe's systems were destroyed from the inside. Any alarms from the alien fleet? Ward asked. No, sir. They registered the probe's destruction but show no signs of suspecting a weapon. Susan Miller let out a long breath. It worked. Ward nodded slowly. Now we wait. And wait they did. For exactly 2 weeks, nothing seemed to change. The council representatives continued their talks, their inspections, their subtle mockery of human technology. But Ward Nash, Cooper, and Miller knew something the aliens didn't. Humans were ready if the friendly mask ever dropped. They didn't have to wait much longer. 2 weeks passed quietly. Too quietly, Commander Ward thought as he stood in the White House meeting room. Outside the tall windows, he could see the giant alien flagship hanging in the sky above Washington, D.C. It had moved there overnight, its huge shadow falling over the city like a bad sign. President Linda Martinez sat at the head of the table. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed worry. Around her sat the most important people in the government: military leaders, scientists, and diplomats. Susan Miller was there too, looking tired after another long meeting with the aliens. "They've stopped being friendly," Susan said to the room. "Yesterday they wouldn't even discuss trade agreements. They just kept asking about our resource deposits and military bases." Admiral Peterson nodded. "Their ships have been moving into new positions. 20 more arrived last night. They now have almost 50 vessels in our solar system." President Martinez looked at Ward. "Commander, are the special ships ready?" Ward nodded. "Yes, Madam President. The EDF Defiance, Courage, and Liberty are all equipped with sunburst weapons. They're in position but hidden from alien sensors." "And you're sure these weapons will work?" the President asked. Before Ward could answer, a young aide ran into the room. "Madam President, the alien ambassador is demanding to speak to you. Right now? He says it's urgent." Everyone looked at each other. This was it. "Put him on the main screen," President Martinez said, straightening in her chair. The large screen on the wall lit up. Ambassador Zolteth's face filled the display. The alien looked different today. His blue skin darker, his eyes cold. "President Martinez," he said, his voice no longer friendly. "The Galactic Council has made its decision regarding Earth." The President kept her voice steady. "And what is that decision, Ambassador?" "Earth will not be granted membership in the Council," Zolteth said. "Instead, your planet will become a protectorate under our guidance." "A protectorate?" President Martinez asked. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means we will help manage your world's resources and guide your development," the alien said. His words sounded nice, but his tone did not. "Your military forces will be placed under Council supervision. Your industries will be directed toward beneficial goals that we determine." Susan Miller stood up. "That's not what we discussed in our talks. You spoke of equal membership, not control." Zolteth's mouth curved in what humans now recognized as a smile, but there was no warmth in it. "Your species has potential," he said with false sympathy, "but you need guidance. Your weapons cannot harm our ships, and resistance would only result in unnecessary casualties." President Martinez's eyes narrowed. "And if we refuse this offer? Then we will be forced to take more direct measures," the alien said. "You have 6 hours to agree to our terms. We expect your answer then." The screen went black. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Admiral Peterson broke the silence. "They were never going to offer us real membership," he said. "This was their plan all along." "Exactly. As Cooper predicted," Ward added. "They find worlds with resources they want, pretend to be friendly, then take over." President Martinez stood up. She looked at each person in the room before speaking. "I will not surrender Earth to alien control. Not today. Not ever." She turned to Ward. "Commander, prepare your ships. If they want to fight, we'll give them one." 2 hours later, Ward sat in the captain's chair on the bridge of the EDF Defiance. Through the front window, he could see Earth, beautiful and blue. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, ready for his orders. They all knew what was at stake. "All systems ready, Commander," said Lieutenant Heather Johnson, his tactical officer. Her fingers moved quickly over her control panel. "Sunburst weapons are loaded and ready to fire." "Good," Ward said. "Stay in stealth mode. I want the aliens to think we're just another piece of space junk." The Defiance wasn't a big ship. None of the 3 special vessels were. They had been built small on purpose. Easier to hide, harder to hit. Each one carried just 10 sunburst projectiles. They wouldn't win a long battle, but they didn't need to. They just needed to show the aliens that humans weren't as helpless as they thought. Ward's communication screen lit up with Admiral Peterson's face. "Commander, the aliens have made their first move," Peterson said. "They just destroyed our Pacific Island base. One shot from orbit, 300 soldiers dead." Ward's hands tightened on his chair. "Any warning?" "None," Peterson replied. "They're showing us what they can do, trying to scare us into giving up." "What are the President's orders?" Ward asked. "Defend Earth," Peterson said simply. "You are authorized to use sunburst weapons at your discretion." Ward nodded. "Understood." After the call ended, Ward turned to his crew. "The aliens have fired the first shot. They killed our people to frighten us." He stood up. "But they don't know what we can do. They've been laughing at us for months, thinking we're no threat. Today that changes." On the main screen, they could see the alien ships moving into attack formation. The huge flagship led the way with smaller vessels spreading out around it. "They're not even trying to hide what they're doing," Johnson said. "Look at that formation. It's standard attack positioning." Ward nodded. "They're not even bothering with evasive maneuvers," he noted. "They don't see us as a threat." Suddenly, all communications from Earth cut off. The lights in many cities went dark. "They're jamming our signals," Johnson reported. "And they've done something to the power grid." Ward's face hardened. "They're trying to panic people, make them feel helpless." He turned to his weapons officer. "Move us into firing position. Tell the Courage and Liberty to stand by." The small ship glided silently through space, its special coating making it nearly invisible to alien sensors. They moved closer to the massive alien flagship, a ship at least 50 times larger than the Defiance. "In range, sir," Johnson said quietly. Ward took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. All those months of mockery, of aliens treating humans like children. It ended now. "Target their main power systems," Ward ordered. "Deploy sunburst weapon." "Targeting." "Locked," Johnson reported. Her finger pressed the firing button. "Sunburst. Deployed." On the screen, they watched as a small, unremarkable projectile left their ship. It moved steadily toward the alien flagship, looking no more dangerous than a piece of space debris. The aliens didn't even try to stop it. Their sensors probably barely noticed it. Then, just before reaching the flagship's hull, the projectile seemed to flicker and vanish. 1 second passed. 2. 3. Suddenly, a massive explosion tore through the rear section of the alien flagship. Lights flickered all across the huge vessel. It began to drift, its engines dead. For a moment, silence filled the bridge of the Defiance, then cheers erupted from the crew. Ward allowed himself a small smile. "Send the signal to the other ships," he ordered. "Fire at will." Chaos erupted among the alien fleet. Their perfect attack formation broke apart as ships began moving in all directions. Some tried to find the source of the attack. Others moved to protect the damaged flagship. On the bridge of the EDF Defiance, Commander Ward watched with grim satisfaction. "They're confused," Lieutenant Johnson said, looking at her screen. "Their communications are filled with panic. They don't understand what happened." "Good," Ward replied. "Let's keep them confused. Signal the Courage and Liberty to target 2 more ships." Across the darkness of space, the other 2 human vessels moved into position. Each one small, each one nearly invisible to alien sensors. From the Liberty, a sunburst projectile launched toward a heavy alien cruiser. From the Courage, another projectile headed for an alien weapons platform. Both shots hit their targets perfectly. The cruiser's bridge section exploded in a ball of fire. The weapons platform simply broke apart, pieces drifting in all directions. On the damaged alien flagship, Ambassador Zolteth stared at the screen in disbelief. His ship's power systems were failing. Emergency lights cast red shadows across his blue skin. "Impossible," he whispered. Then louder to his crew. "How did they do this? Their weapons are primitive. Our shields were at full power." A technician worked frantically at a control panel. "The human projectile, it wasn't there, then suddenly it was inside our ship. It bypassed our shields completely." "Find those human ships," Zolteth ordered. "All vessels, locate and destroy the human attackers. But finding the 3 Earth ships proved difficult. They were small, coated with special materials that absorbed sensor scans, and they kept moving. By the time an alien ship spotted one, it had already fired and moved to a new position. On the Defiance, Ward received a transmission from Earth. Admiral Peterson's face appeared on screen. "Good work, Commander," Peterson said. "The President is watching your progress. Keep it up." "How are things down there?" Ward asked. "The alien jamming is weakening since you hit their flagship," Peterson replied. "Power is coming back online. In most cities, people are scared but holding strong." Ward nodded. "Tell the President we'll keep them busy up here." After the transmission ended, Ward turned to his crew. "Let's hit them again before they figure out what's happening." The Defiance moved silently toward another target, a large alien destroyer that was firing energy weapons toward Earth. The alien ship's shields glowed as it prepared to launch more attacks. "Target locked," Johnson reported. "Firing sunburst." Another, small projectile left the Defiance. Again it seemed to flicker and vanish just before impact. Again an explosion tore through the alien vessel from the inside. But this time, something different happened. As the alien ship's systems failed, it managed to send out a wide sensor pulse. The pulse washed over the area, briefly revealing the Defiance's location. "We've been spotted," Johnson called out. 3 alien ships turning to attack." Ward gripped his chair. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of their weapon range." The Defiance turned sharply, its engines pushing to full power. But the alien ships were fast too. Energy beams cut through space, missing the human vessel by small distances. "They're tracking us now," Johnson said, her voice tense. "Their sensors have adjusted to find our stealth coding." Ward's mind raced. The advantage of surprise was fading. The aliens were adapting, as he knew they would. Now came the real test. "Signal the Liberty and Courage," he ordered. "New formation. Triangle defense. We need to coordinate our attacks." The 3 human ships began to move in a careful pattern, covering each other as they fired. When alien vessels focused on one human ship, the other 2 would attack from different directions. On his flagship, Zolteth watched with growing anger as more of his ships were damaged. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Their technology was laughable just days ago." His science officer looked up from a console. "Sir, we've analyzed their weapons. They're using some kind of dimensional phase shift. The projectiles exist partially, in another reality, until they reappear inside our ships. Can we stop them?" Zolteth asked. "We're working on adjusting our shields," the science officer replied. "But it will take time." Zolteth slammed his fist on a panel. "We don't have time. Fire everything we have. Destroy those human ships." The alien fleet responded with massive firepower. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and antimatter missiles filled space around the 3 human vessels. The Defiance shook as a near miss damaged one of its engines. "Port engine at 60%, called an engineer. "We can't take many more hits like that." Ward knew they were in trouble. Even with the sunburst weapons, they were still outgunned. The aliens had dozens of ships. The humans had only 3. "We need to hit their command ships," Ward decided. "Cut off their leadership. Target the vessels sending the most communication signals." The human ships adjusted their attack. Instead of hitting random targets, they focused on ships that appeared to be giving orders. With each successful sunburst hit, the alien fleet's coordination grew worse. Inside the damaged flagship, confusion turned to fear. Alien crew members who had laughed at human weapons now watched as their mighty fleet was picked apart by an enemy they had underestimated. "Sir," said the alien communications officer to Zolteth, "the Council is demanding to know what's happening. They want to know how primitive humans are defeating us." Zolteth stared at the screen showing another of his ships exploding from within. "Tell them." He paused, his voice shaking with rage and disbelief. "Tell them the humans have weapons. We don't understand." Just then, another alarm sounded. The flagship's sensors had detected another sunburst projectile heading straight for them. "Evasive action!" Zolteth shouted. But it was too late. The projectile seemed to vanish. Then suddenly, Their weapons control room exploded. The flagship was now completely defenseless. On the Defiance, Ward received a communication alert. It was coming from the alien flagship. "Put it through," he ordered. Ambassador Zolteth's face appeared on screen. Gone was the smug superiority. Now the alien looked shaken, his blue skin pale with fear. "Commander," the alien said, his voice tight. "What is happening? Your weapons, they're impossible. Your technology was primitive." Ward looked straight at the alien who had mocked humanity for months. "You made a mistake, Ambassador. You judged us by your standards, by your path of development. Humans took a different path." "But the inspections," Zolteth began. "We showed you what we wanted you to see," Ward replied. "Just as you only showed us what you wanted us to see. Your friendly offers, your promises of membership, all while planning to take over our world." The alien ambassador was silent for a moment. Then, "What do you want?" Ward's answer was simple. "For your fleet to leave our solar system, now." Ambassador Zolteth's face darkened on the screen. "You cannot make demands of the Galactic Council," he said, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. "We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years." Commander Ward remained calm. "And yet, your flagship is crippled. 6 of your vessels are destroyed, and the rest of your fleet is in chaos. All from weapons you laughed at just days ago." Before Zolteth could respond, Lieutenant Johnson whispered to Ward, "Sir, the remaining alien ships are forming a new attack pattern. I think they're going to try one more assault." Ward nodded slightly. "Ambassador," he said to the screen, "tell your ships to stand down. I don't want to destroy any more of your fleet." "You've been lucky," Zolteth said, anger replacing his fear. "But we still have over 40 ships. We can overwhelm your 3 vessels." Ward sighed. "Very well." He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. "They want to try again. Let's show them we still have a few surprises left." The remaining alien ships had indeed formed a new attack pattern. They bunched together in tight groups, each group protecting the others. Energy shields overlapped, creating stronger defenses. It was a smart tactic. "They're adapting," Johnson said. "Those formations will make it harder for us to pick off individual ships." Ward studied the alien fleet movements. "They're learning, but so are we. Signal the courage and liberty. We're going to try something new." The 3 human ships began to move in an unusual pattern. Instead of staying apart, they moved close together, almost touching. From a distance, they looked like a single, slightly larger vessel. "Sir," Johnson said, "the aliens are launching a coordinated attack, all groups firing at once." Space lit up with energy beams and plasma bolts, all aimed at where the 3 human ships appeared to be. But at the last second, the human vessels split apart in 3 different directions. The alien fire passed through empty space. "Now," Ward ordered, "while their weapons are recharging." The Defiance, Courage, and Liberty each fired sunburst projectiles at different alien groups. 3 explosions bloomed within the alien formation as the projectiles phased inside their targets and rematerialized. "Direct hits on 3 command ships," Johnson reported, allowing herself a small smile. On Earth, President Martinez and her advisors watched the battle on large screens. When they saw the 3 new explosions, a cheer went up from the room. "They're doing it," Susan Miller said, her eyes wide with hope. "They're actually winning." Admiral Peterson nodded. "Ward is one of our best, and the sunburst weapons are working even better than we hoped." The president stood tall, her face determined. "Let's make sure they know they have our full support. Open all channels to the alien fleet. I want to speak directly to them." In space, the battle continued. The human ships fired again and again, each shot finding its target. The alien fleet's formation began to break apart as more ships were damaged or destroyed. Then a new transmission came through on all frequencies. President Martinez's voice filled every ship, both human and alien. "This is Linda Martinez, President of the United Earth Government. Your unprovoked attack on our world has been met with resistance you did not expect. We offered friendship and you planned conquest. We will not allow this." She paused for a moment before continuing. "However, we are not like you. We do not seek to destroy those who are different. We offer you this one chance. Leave our solar system immediately and we will not pursue you. Stay, and we will be forced to continue defending ourselves." On the bridge of the Defiance, Ward listened to the president's words with pride. This was humanity at its best, strong but merciful. The alien ships stopped firing. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the damaged flagship began to turn slowly away from Earth. One by one, the other alien vessels followed. "They're leaving," Johnson said, her voice filled with disbelief and joy. "They're actually leaving." A new transmission came through. It was Zolteth again, but his manner had changed completely. Gone was the arrogance, replaced by caution and a hint of respect. "Commander Ward," the alien said, "the Council will need to reconsider many things. We have underestimated your species." Ward nodded. "A dangerous mistake, Ambassador. One I hope you won't repeat. We request safe passage out of your system," Zolteth said. "We will not trouble Earth again without proper invitation." "Granted," Ward replied. "But know this, we will be watching." As the alien fleet moved away from Earth, the 3 human ships maintained their positions, ready to fire if needed. But no more shots were necessary. The Galactic Council had learned its lesson. 3 days later, Commander Ward stood in the Oval Office. President Martinez had just finished pinning medals on Ward and his crew for their bravery. "You've changed humanity's place in the galaxy," the president said. "Because of you, they'll never look at us the same way again." Ward smiled slightly. "It wasn't just me, Madam President. It was Dr. Nash and her team who created Sunburst. It was Intelligence Chief Cooper who warned us about their true intentions. It was everyone who worked together when faced with a threat." Susan Miller stepped forward. "We've received communications from 3 other species who aren't part of the Council. They heard what happened and want to open proper diplomatic relations with us as equals." "The galaxy is a bigger place than we thought," Ward said, looking out the window at the stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. "And more dangerous, but also filled with more possibilities." President Martinez nodded. "We'll need to prepare. The Council may have retreated, but they won't forget what happened here." "No, they won't," Ward agreed. "But neither will anyone else. The story is already spreading through the galaxy. How a primitive species defeated the mighty Galactic Council." Dr. Nash, who had been quietly standing to one side, spoke up. "They made a fundamental mistake. They believed technological advancement follows only one path, their path. They couldn't imagine someone taking a different road." "Human creativity," Miller said with a smile. "It's our greatest strength." Later that night, Ward stood on the observation deck of the Defiance, now docked at the Earth space station. Repairs were underway on all 3 special ships. Soon they would be joined by more vessels equipped with Sunburst technology. Lieutenant Johnson joined him, looking out at the stars. "What do you think happens now, sir?" Ward considered her question carefully. "Now we prepare. We build more ships. We develop new weapons. But most importantly, we reach out to others in the galaxy who might become true friends, not conquerors. In disguise." "Do you think the Council will come back?" she asked. "Someday," Ward said. "But when they do, they won't be laughing at our weapons." Johnson smiled. "No, I don't think they will." As they looked out at the vast expanse of space, Earth continued its quiet journey around the sun. The planet had faced its first real test against an alien power and had not only survived but prevailed. The message was clear to all who might be watching from distant stars. Underestimate humans at your own risk. They may surprise you, especially after the first shot is fired.